GE's geometry.
A1,
A1 is Algebra 1. Those were some 8th grade students and some 9th grade students. That A2, those were some of last year's sophomores. Those don't count. That was just a sample test for Pearson.
Yeah.
That was a.
Look bad over there.
We all had every district and campus in the state of Texas had to field test certain tests, and we got picked to do Algebra 2.
Is this the 11th grade class now?
Yes.
10th grade.
No?
No, that's this year.
Yes.
This year's 11th.
That geometry, those were the 7 freshmen that took Algebra 1 as 8th graders, and they took, and you know, that's usually the cream of the crop, and all 7 of them passed that geometry test. But all 7 of them are supposed to pass that test. You know, you're hoping the top your top quarter passes at 100%. If not, in trouble. But that's math. You can flip over to reading 1, writing 1. That should have been English 1.
Is the W1 is English 1?
Yes. The English 1 test is broken down into 2 tests. One is for reading and one is writing. And the writing component at the high school level is brand new. That's the first time it's ever been tested on its own. Usually there's a writing test in 4th grade, a writing test in 7th grade, and then some small compositions on the tax test at the high school grade. That's not the case anymore. Now they've broken it into 2 separate and equal tests.
So what you're saying is the writing portion of this particular test is the first time it's ever been tested?
Yes. In 9th grade.
Why do they get beat up so bad? I mean, it's just poor writers, or it doesn't matter if it's the first time or not.
Well, it's.
I mean, either can write or not.
And they're writing in genres they've never had to write in before. You know, back in the old TOS days, you know, my ag teacher gave the best, the simplest, easiest way to pass the TOS writing test. You tell them what you're going to tell them in a paragraph. You tell them in 3 paragraphs, and then you tell them what you told them in the 5th paragraph. That's not the case. They're expected, they have questions over all the different genres. There's questions over poetry, there's questions over fiction, there's questions over nonfiction, all the genres of writing, and then you have to write, and the writing is not in the old tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. It may be a piece where you pick a side and explain why you chose. They give you an issue, you pick one side of the issue and tell why you chose that side of the issue. So it's a completely different style of writing. There's a learning curve for all English teachers, but that's the reason. We're all learning.
This writing class, this is this year?
That was last year.
Last spring.
Last spring.
That's last year's freshman. What you're saying is it's this year's
Sophomore. Yes, sir.
But this is the first time they took the test was
last year.
Last year.
Yes, sir.
Do they take another one this year, or their 11th grade year?
This year that we
These freshmen took, those freshmen right there will take the same test as a sophomore.
They'll take the English 2 test.
End of course exam.
It's
Part
an
of
end of
the
course
English
test.
1, 2, 3 end of course exam. The writing part is one part of that test.
You'll take now some of these students that failed and didn't meet the minimum, they had to retake it in the summer. Some of them did come back and pass. We do have some students that are in 2 English classes because they haven't passed this yet. So they're taking English 1 and English 2, and they'll have to take 2 end of course tests. And that's why we're hoping our legislators give us a little break, because we're fixing to start running kids out of school. If you turn the page, we go to this will be reading, I do believe, in the 7th and 8th grade. the next one is science. And seventh graders don't take a science test, eighth graders do. And then biology, that's the BI. That's the test that we took that counted. The pH is a physics field test. That didn't count, and the kids knew it didn't count.
Oh, wait, over here to the left,
That's the eighth grade science STAR test. Yes, sir. And then we turn the page. And
I'll say this, Your Honor, because this is actually a humorous score to me. Because of the fact that we have scored 98 or 100% on every administered social studies test for the last, God knows how many years. This test here, there is not many schools in the state of Texas who had kids pass it. Whenever we discussed with Region 6 and the other people coming in to talk about this social studies test, they said, you will fail. I'll tell you what, our history teachers took it and they didn't get all the questions right. And they struggled, and the only reason they got some of them right was by process of elimination. And if you look at this sample question here,
this is the state of Texas, TEA graciously released 12 questions.
12 total.
And that does, it doesn't.
Oh, this was based on 12 questions?
No.
The sample that they left.
Oh, the sample,
The
okay.
test was 56 questions,
All right.
but they gave us a sample of 12 questions. That's an eighth grade U.S. history question.
They pick one up and then they defend it.
Well, not on the what this is an activity that our
Right.
history teacher is doing now to teach them how to approach this type of question. I don't know.
Is this something they talked about prior to taking it?
I don't know if they did last year or not. I know they are this year. They did it today, started today. That's who I got this from, was from Miss Dixon.
Basically, what you're saying, the first half of this page,
This
That's
right
the
here is what
question.
you would see on a test.
that's the question.
But following, studying it in class, going over it in class.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And you don't get this when you take the test, you just get that question.
Yeah. The bottom part is just an activity for the teacher to teach the eighth grader the process,
To put them into a thinking mode of how to answer.
how to approach this type of question. Because in the past, it's been general U.S. history type questions.
So who's got the answer?
Stab at this one.
Man,
Well, I know you weren't gonna go talk to them about being slaves, I ruled that out.
I would say
And I was doing an observation when I got this, or a walkthrough, and the history teacher, she said, now, think back to when the Europeans were conquering new lands, the Americas, what were the three main factors? And it was God, gold, and ground. That was the three biggies they were out for. They wanted to save their souls, they wanted the wealth from the land, and they wanted the ground itself. So when they went, and the first thing they did was be converted to our holy faith. And all the kids in there knew the God, gold, and I won't say it's ground, and they knew that concept, but to apply it to this type of question is the big jump that we're having to teach a 13 and 14-year-old student to make. That's a pretty good leap. You know, to take this knowledge that you learn from the textbook and lecture and activities and apply it to this type of
They
question.
have now converted this test to basically like they have the science test and all your other tests. It is no longer about facts. It is about, can you figure out,
yeah, it's process learning.
can you figure out? Well, you're not teaching your kids anything. You're teaching them how to be good guessers.
That's what I'm talking about. Teach them how to do something.